Hello, everybody. This is Teen Title Talk with Erin.
And Courtney,
This is the podcast
where two librarians discuss two YA books every 2 weeks.
Today we'll be talking about Felix Ever After by Kacen Callender.
And You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson.
Awesome. But before we do that, we're going to actually talk about libraries, maybe the state of libraries and the state of the pandemic.
Okay.
Before we talk about anything else.
Sure.
So it's 8:56 p.m. And just to gauge how we're doing on a level from 1 to 10, how exhausted are you right now in this moment?
I would give it a solid 9.
Okay. I'm feeling right along there. Like I could be asleep right now.
Yes.
Easily.
100%. Yes.
So are you, how's the balance going? If I could use that word.
I don't know. What balance? It feels like there is no balance. It feels like a balance is impossible. It's like you can only do one thing at a time.
You can, but then there's more than that to do.
I know.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. I think what we're really learning here is
we can't do it all.
we can't. That's what I was going to say. We cannot have it all.
We cannot
be the best librarian, the best partner, the best parent, the best anything, because you have to do everything all the time at the same time every day.
Right, with the kids. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even people without kids, I think, are feeling this pressure of just like
balancing it.
Worried about other stuff. But it's like being in a, I don't know the word for it, but it's like just pressure, like a pressure cooker, I guess is a good way.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it's so funny because even balancing the library plus parenting, that's all I can manage. And then remember how I had that writing career?
The good old days.
Remember that, Court? Like, I'd go on author visits or write during that. Like, I don't think I've written since the pandemic started. And it's just
isn't that amazing?
Because time.
Because I keep seeing people who are like creatives making things, being creative and being like, this is my outlet. This is my only way to survive this. And I'm like, how do you have the energy?
My only way to survive this is to barely survive it.
Well, that's what it is. Like, I'm in survival mode. I feel like so many people must be in survival mode. Just like get through the day.
Yeah. And so it's like once you're done, what for me is once I'm done parenting and doing the library stuff in the day, if I could maybe squeeze in like a little, it's just, usually I just end up squeezing in more library stuff, honestly.
I keep having great dreams too. Maybe I should start finally taking up my writing career.
You should do that. Get it on the page. I'm sure you want one more thing to add to your list.
I would love to.
So are you in the library right now at all?
Yeah. I was there today. Yeah.
All right. How often are you in?
I am only there twice a week. Everyone's kind of on like a little bit of a rotating schedule right now. But yeah, I was trying to like figure out, I mean, half the trouble is like now, today was only my second day back.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm overwhelmed by all the things that like, now that I'm there, what do I do? Because there's like people in the building.
There's so much you could do, and yet where do you start, right? It's
I feel like, totally like I need to make a million lists or something to keep myself
on point,
focused, because it feels like there's everything to do, and so like I'm so overwhelmed that I can't do anything. Right. One thing I did get done today was our dial a story thing, so you can call and you can hear me read you a story.
That is so fun. And are you doing it live, or is it like anybody can call while you're on there?
No, it's a recording. You can You can just call
really
our library and listen to me reading Peter's chair.
That is so fun. Look at that.
Yeah.
What else?
That fresh every week.
Now, are you doing curbside too?
The library is. I'm
Okay.
not involved with it in any way, but yes.
Got it.
And
go ahead.
That's been really popular. Has it been popular? I'm sure.
Right. So yeah, what we've done, like we've got curbside up and running, which is popular. And I only, like if I'm in, which is 3 times a week, I'll, like if I get a phone call, I would do what I would normally do, which is pull the book and then bring it up to the front, right?
Gotcha.
Curbside. But so I'm not totally involved in that. But then it was more about like cranking out summer read.
Yeah.
In a totally different way than we've ever done it, and how to do it successfully. And I'm not sure I totally hit the nail on the head there, but at least I have some virtual programs and some contests, and I got the reading bingo challenge out. And the state did get Read Squared, but I ended up wanted to do the bingo sheet because one, I could kind of control what was on it, and I know we would have to have paid extra for that. So I ended up just doing my usual, like you can pick it up in the lobby or you can download it on our website. And it's just a bingo sheet, but I added things like attend a virtual program or do a good deed or take some self-care time into the other reading challenges.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So it's kind of different this year. But I have a slew of prizes, and I've had some kids already turn in sheets. So that's
good.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I've had my most successful one so far was Kahoot trivia. I had 6 kids come to that, and they did great. We did Harry Potter trivia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then we're just cranking along, but it was like I'm so tired because I think I will be until the point where I felt like I've caught up. And I feel like at that point, I'll probably be then planning for fall. So it won't be like a break.
I know. It does feel like catch up constantly. We're like, I thought I had everything planned, but then like we got to week 1 and I was like, oh, wait.
Right.
I don't think I did this right.
Right. Because we didn't know if we were going to open. Right. So it was kind of like, throw it together now because we have to put something out there.
Yeah, we opted to do the Read Squared thing, which is cool, but it's a learning curve. So I've been having to like figure that out, which kind of put me a little bit behind. I'm glad we have it because it does offer some kind of like, it's almost like a little summer camp situation online where you can like earn little badges and stuff for doing certain activities.
Right. Gotcha.
So that's kind of cool because what we were going to do was do like the keychain thing, but you can't come in, you can't pick out your beads. Like that's not that fun if you can't really do it. So this is kind of an alternative. But you know what? I think people are totally just like not into computers right now. I think everyone spent so much time on their online school for the past 4 months or whatever that they're just like, I'm done.
The thing is like I'm totally done. And I did notice that all the bingo sheets, like the paper ones, when I came in the other day were gone. So I've had to print more. So I know that people are picking them up. But
yeah, that's good.
As far as I know Children's is doing Read Squared, but Ray also did paper copies, and I chose the paper one because I'm like, I could care less about another app on my phone, and I don't like Tucker can't like color it. At least the form he can color, and he can see when he's completed the amount of time. So I'm all apped out. I'm not sure. It's a great thing, and I'm glad it was made accessible to everybody, and I'm sure a lot of people will use it. But I'm just not into it.
I get it. We also have a paper bingo that I made, and we actually just send them home with everybody.
Nice.
Anyone who's getting a children's book, you get one of these.
I think that's great.
And so
they're like, oh, great, summer reading's happening. Let me do this. I'm reading anyway.
Exactly. And it's got the information on the back that's like, if you want to also like do this logging online, you can do this.
And some people will opt for that. It's also greener, right? I mean,
well, that's true, but it really is nice to have, like, I printed it out and I have it on the refrigerator because like my kid doesn't have her own device, so she has to use my phone do all the stuff. So I totally get why people would not want to do that.
Right. So how about, like, are you guys talking about the fall at all? Do you have any sort of plan in motion? No.
No, we're like taking it 1 week at a time.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we have a plan. There's a stages plan. So we're at stage 4 out of 7 of reopening. And it's totally based on how things are looking, and it could change at any time from stage 4 to stage 3 or stage 4 to stage, it could go either way. But we are letting people do like computer access appointments 3 times a day, so they can choose to sign up. They have to wear a mask. They can come in. They can use the computer for an hour, and then they leave. And we've had a couple people in for that, so that seems to be useful.
That's good.
But besides that, we're closed. I mean, I don't know.
It's everything's
weird.
It's weird. And then there's like libraries in other states and other places that are just like, they've either been open this whole time or they're already back open. And
right.
So every library.
I don't know if you've seen like people yet, but I like was helping a person print today, and I was negotiating even how close I would get to her to point to the computer.
Oh my gosh.
It felt so weird. It was like, okay, normally I'd be like over your shoulder.
Right.
Grabbing the mouse and just showing you how to do it. Now I'm feeling like I'm standing over here. Do I seem standoffish? Do I seem good?
Can I tell you?
I'm like on a good cautious level? Or like how is this being received? I don't know.
I'm sure that person appreciated it, because today at work I had to do something, and so someone who works for the town who does some of the like computer stuff came over, and I did feel like my personal bubble was being infiltrated.
Right.
And I was like, please, okay, you're touching my mouse, you're touching my keyboard.
And then you're just like, I'm going to get the cleaner and I'll just spray this whole area down.
I really wanted to be like, please take 3 steps away. But I didn't know how to say it. And I think that we just have to get better also at sort of advocating that kind of stuff.
Like the personal expectation.
I'm just trying to, everyone has their own feelings on where their limits are, but my limits are big.
Right, exactly. It's really, it's going to be.
If I can touch you, you're too close.
Right. I think that's a fine. So you could say that.
And then, the other thing is and then you hope the person doesn't take it personally. It's just I don't want your germs.
Right. That's the negotiation. Was the person wearing a mask anyway?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We were both wearing masks.
That's same with, you can't come to the library without a mask. So that's great. And we all have our masks on. So I think that makes me feel more secure. Just strange.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about books.
We've been talking about this for a while.
Right. So, we were talking about celebrating Black creatives more and more and more this year, and we're starting now.
Yes.
So, you read You Should See Me in a Crown, and I read Felix Ever After. And tell me about You Should See Me in a Crown.
Sure. It's by Leah Johnson. It's really fun, really satisfying story about high school senior Liz Leidy, who goes to a mostly white, mostly rich high school in Indiana. She lives with her grandmother and her brother Robbie, and her brother is a little bit younger than she is, but he also goes to the same high school. Her dream is to go to this prestigious private college called Pennington on a music scholarship. She is a musician and she loves music and she arranges music. So when the scholarship does not come through, she has to figure out a way to make up that extra money so that she can make her dreams come true. Okay. The clearest path is by running for prom court in hopes of being voted prom queen, because the prize is $10,000. And at her school, prom is like a gigantic deal with prom legacies, like if your mom won prom and your grandma won prom queen. And so anyways, like humongous deal at her school. And so normally she's just this kind of kid who tries to fade into the background, like not make too many waves. She has really good friends and stuff like that. But she does feel like a little bit of an outsider to some extent, although she says she feels pretty happy and fairly safe.
Okay, good.
But she does feel like her lifestyle is different. They talk a lot about how like all the other kids live in these like gigantic houses with mansions and maids and whatever, but it doesn't, they don't gloss over everyone's problems either, so that's kind of good. But I really liked it. She finds that she does a lot of growing during this time. She thought it was going to be like a total horrible thing, but it ends up being really great. And she meets her sort of romantic match, which is very exciting and unexpected. And in some ways, to her other friends, sort of unwanted, because it reveals something about Liz, which is that she is queer. And in her school, she is under the impression that this would be like not accepted per se.
Okay.
And her friends, particularly her friend Gabby, is really trying to get her elected to the prom court so that she can get the prom queen. And she's like, you cannot be prom queen if people know about this.
What?
So her best friend is trying to get her to keep it under wraps. But then she meets this girl and she's like, how can I keep it under wraps? I'm so happy. I'm so in love. This is so wonderful.
Right.
And so there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that too. But it's really good and I recommend it.
Sounds interesting. So I'm excited to talk about that. But before we do that, Felix Ever After, I'll just describe real quick. It's this really lovely story about a high schooler named Felix who's taking art classes one summer in hopes of getting a scholarship. I believe it was to Brown. And Felix is trans, and one day he walks into the building at St. Catherine's for this class to find that pictures of him pre-transition are up on the walls alongside his dead name, which completely throws him for a loop, obviously. And then so tears him down really quick, gets rid of it, goes into the class, and he thinks that it's the person who did it is this pretentious kid named Declan, because they had this dispute like on a photo shoot the day before. So he thinks that it's Declan for sure. He's like, this is the kid who did it. It was really malicious. Now, in an attempt to get back at Declan, Felix basically he creates a fake Insta account and befriends Declan under this fake name, and they start chatting. And of course, sure enough, they find out that they're not so different from one another. Namely that they both long to experience love. And so like internally, Felix, he not only longs for love, falling in love, but also for this, he's like questing for love of self this whole time. He goes through a lot of self-blame and hate and obsessing over identity. And he has these real plausible, tough feelings about marginalization. He thinks like being Black and queer and trans, he wonders if he ticks off too many boxes of being different from the norm, that maybe he'll never find love. And yet, don't worry. I mean, he does. He comes to both a sense of self-love and worthiness and belonging, but he also ends up with the person that I was hoping would end up with the whole time.
Oh, good.
So the whole novel feels very new adult, I want to say, and college-y.
Okay.
Just because Felix lives mostly at Ezra's apartment. That's his best friend. And basically, Ezra has that apartment his parents bought for him while he's going to St. Catherine's. The parents of all the kids are mostly out of the picture. And so it feels very college-y. And it really drew me right in because it totally felt like being at Emerson when I was in the theater studies program at Emerson in college. And it felt just the characters, the nuance, the way they would congregate and talk about art. Felt exactly like my college experience.
Oh, so this sounds like a much more accurate portrayal of artsy kids than your last book.
Oh God, yeah. Well, last time I read Bloom, were there artsy kids?
Oh, no, the one before it then.
Oh, I don't even remember.
I don't either. But that was the one that you were like, this person never met a kid.
Oh yeah, the theater one. All right. Yeah. What on earth? I was like, I don't know if this person did theater at all, but no, this felt very real. And I mean, I know less about like fine art than, but I did do design and I took fine art classes because it was a fine art major. But this felt very spot on. I might have missed some things if they were off, but it felt pretty spot on to me. I don't know.
That's awesome.
So, all right, let's talk about You Should See Me in a Crown. So, Last time you had read this sort of contemporary book with some teen romance.
Yes.
This time you're reading a contemporary book with some teen romance. How do they compare? Do you favor one over the other?
Yes. So, You Can See Me in a Crown, I love.
Okay.
I love, like, after I finished last time, I was like, maybe this is just not the genre for me. Like,
right. You're like, maybe
I'm
that's
fine.
Contemporary altogether. I'll never.
Right. Like, that's okay. Like, it's not for everybody. But then I was reading this one and I was like, oh, I feel so happy. There's like so many good things happening and so nice and uplifting. And it just is just such a great book that I was like, I guess it doesn't really matter like what the genre is. If it's a great book, it's a great book.
Also, maybe it had more plot because of that competition. And
yes, there's a lot going on, but it doesn't feel like too much, which is nice. Like what's going on is, so there's Liz, who is, you know, having this sort of thing going on where she's going to try and be prom queen.
Right.
And then she's got these friends and she really loves her friends, but they're friends that sort of like are on one sort of end of the social strata. Mm-hmm. And she used to have this other best friend, Jordan, who is on the opposite side. Like he is like the most popular guy in school and everybody loves him and she used to be best friends with him. And then they had a falling out and they don't speak anymore. And she's like really sad about it.
Okay.
But it's been 4 years. So she feels like, well, that's just like that passed. So what can you do? It just is what it is. Oh, can you hear those fireworks?
Yeah. Oh, is that what it was?
Uh-huh. That's cool.
That was like cool.
Oh my gosh, they're going to keep going. Hopefully it's not so annoying.
It's all right.
So there's that going on. There's some like friend drama there where like she keeps bumping into him because he's also trying to be on the prom court because he's like the most popular guy at school. So that's what you just do.
Okay.
And she's getting paired up with him and she's like, can you please like get out of my life? And then added to that, her brother Robbie has sickle cell anemia, which means that he's kind of out of school a bunch. And she really worries about him and wants to make sure he's healthy and safe. And her mom died of the same thing when she was younger. And so, you know, there's a tenderness there that I think is really nice. But Robbie's always trying to get her to, like, go out on a limb and do stuff and live and have fun and not worry so much about him. Okay, and then she meets this really cool girl who's just, like, into the same band that she's into. And they like all the same things and they can talk and talk and talk and they love music and they love art stuff and they're just like such a great match. It's like an instant connection. And then for all the reasons that are in the book, like I don't want to ruin it, things go downhill. So it's just like it's just good.
This prom court thing sounds really interesting, but I want to know if, like, you think it's stretching plausibility at all, because I've never heard of such a thing, and maybe it's just, I was prom queen, but I did nothing. I did nothing to become prom queen. Like, there was no court.
Right.
I'm still not sure if they were joking.
Not fully sure if I didn't just get voted for as a joke.
But regardless, like, did your school do that? And if not, because this was the same thing we had the conversation with the valedictorian thing. Remember in my book a couple times ago, it was like, oh,
Yes.
she can compete to be valedictorian. Isn't that just based on grade, like literally grade point average? Is this prom queen thing really, can you compete to be a prom king or queen?
So when I was first started reading it, which is why I was nervous about this book, was like, this seems really thin to me.
Yeah, okay.
Because it didn't seem that plausible to me, but as the story goes on, I don't know, I came to find it more and more believable, especially because I am not from the Midwest.
Right.
But I know that in the Midwest, there are things that are a big deal that aren't a big deal here.
That is so true.
So I'm willing to believe that somewhere out there, being voted to prom court and then prom queen is like
a tradition. It may even
pinnacle of your high school moment. And I'm willing to believe that.
Okay.
Because, like, I don't know, I just feel like in the Midwest, like, everything is, I don't know, everything high school seems like a big deal, at least according to all the movies I've seen.
Okay.
Like, high school football is humongous. You know, like, their cheerleading squads are crazy good.
You got that from Cheerleading Magazine, though.
I did get that.
Yeah,
but
that's fact.
Yeah, so I don't know. So, yeah, at first I was like, I didn't ever vote for anybody. I voted that day at prom for someone.
In the moment.
Yeah. I don't remember this. And this is like it's like 6-week lead up where you have to like have volunteer hours and grades and all kinds of stuff. So there is a fair amount to it. It feels a lot more like running for student body president. But whatever. Like, that's fine because the rest of the story is great.
All right, cool. Well, and also, like you said, maybe it does happen all the time over there.
They like pageants. Don't they like pageants in the Midwest?
Sure, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
There's different regional things all over.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to me about, like, the main character's point of view. I want to know, was it all from Liz's perspective? Was it first person? Did you enjoy the voice and the tone or the style?
I'm trying to like.
Or did it not pop out at you at all?
It didn't pop out at me. It's now I'm looking at it to be like, what is it? It's first person. There you go.
Yeah.
So you're in her head the whole time, and I like that.
I do too.
I don't know. Sometimes I have a hard time with books with points of view that jump around, especially with like more than 3 or 4 characters.
Absolutely, because then you feel like you don't know any of them. But it sounds like you really know Liz.
You do, and I really felt a lot like a kinship, and I think a lot of people would, because her life. Maybe our lives are different, but like she has this intense desire to just like get through high school. And I think so many people have that where they're just like, I just need to survive this. Right. And I want to go on and do something way better. And the only way I can do that is by playing some dumb game. And I'll do it so that I can get out of here.
It's totally relatable.
Completely. And like she is just such a fun person who just like has this great like way of talking to the audience, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And you really want her to succeed. And like when you see that like first kiss moment and you like, it's so like I got butterflies in my stomach. Aww. Like I was just so excited. It was so fun. And the author does such a great job just like relating all of these experiences that so many people experience.
Right.
But it's like, each person, like my first love was different than your first love.
Right.
But like they all have commonality. And I think she does such a great job of like bringing those commonalities in so that the reader really is feeling along with Liz, but then at the same time making it really specific to Liz. And so I think she does that really nicely.
That's awesome.
And
Now let's talk about Felix Ever After.
Let's talk about it. And I'm going to talk about the fact that I did not prepare questions for you and you did not prepare answers because I didn't prepare questions.
That's true, so but we're just going to talk about it. We know how to talk about books, Court. We're all right.
I'm just going to do it on the fly. Okay.
Sure.
So let's talk about this. So I've actually seen this on a lot of reading lists and a lot of people have been reading it, like people that I follow. So
yeah,
I'd love to know. So I feel like there's like some hype around it, and I'd love to know if you felt like it was something that you would put on like should reads of 2020.
I think so. I'm trying to think, like, because I haven't looked at those lists. Are they hyping on premise? Are they hyping on writing? You know,
I think it's mostly representation.
And I think that is so accurate, because I was trying to think as you were saying that, have I read another book that features a Black, queer, trans main character and their story?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I have. And I think that alone means it should be on your list of 2020 reads, because you're going to get a perspective that's fresh and new and you've never read before.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would put it on there. Also, though, Kacen Callender is a Stonewall and Lambda Award winner, so you're getting good writing there too.
Mm-hmm.
That's also, a huge merit. So I would definitely add it to your list. I really enjoyed it.
I read a couple of years ago for this podcast, This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story, which is also by Kacen Callender, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is it?
Yeah, it is. Karen, I believe they were writing under Karen at that point.
Oh, okay. So, I remember I liked it overall, but I feel like I had some minor qualms over like the sort of day-to-day mundane nature of the just like high school experience. Maybe I felt like it was too true to life where I was like, okay, now we're going to school, now we're going home, we're going back to school, going back home again. So let's talk about setting a little bit. Like, does this feel sort of claustrophobic in that way that sometimes high school can be, or because we're sort of outside of the bounds of traditional high school where you've got like this apartment and stuff?
Exactly.
Does it feel a little bit more like free?
Yeah, no, I think it does. I totally get what you mean, because sometimes I can't stand that. I'm like, okay, and then we're back at the classroom, and they go between Ezra's apartment, but there's lots of places. It's like Ezra's apartment, the dad's apartment, St. Catherine's, just out around the city. It's funny because it wasn't Boston, but a lot of it felt like Boston to me, but obviously must have been just picturing Emerson, because that's exactly where it took me. So I believe it's in New York City. So all of this setting feels fresh, and there's a lot of tension between trying to figure out who posted the pics, and like, was it Declan, and who is Declan really, and then will Felix. There's a lot that's in it, and I think that sometimes it can feel too muddy, but in this case it felt like everything was necessary, I think, for the story. So no, I didn't feel like it moved around a lot, and it moved pretty quickly, so I didn't have that sense of drudging around high school at all. And again, it feels very new adult, it feels very college age because of the apartment, so that I think works probably for our age maybe a little bit more, because sometimes going back to high school, it's like a real stretch for us.
Oh, we're such old fuddy-duddies now.
We really are beyond the pale, so.
Oh my gosh. That's true.
But I get that sense for a lot of contemporary novels, and I'm like, all right, like, do something instead of just go to class. But this one has enough plot-wise that I didn't have that problem.
That's great. That's good to know, because sometimes it can feel a little, just be like, okay, are we doing anything else today? But like, that is really what high school feels like. You just do the same thing every day and people have drama around you.
That's true. Yeah.
So in this story, so does it center, so it sounds like it centers around this main kind of like traumatic event where like the pictures are put up and everything, and does that sort of follow through the whole story? Like, is the resolution of the book like figuring out who did it, or is it like, does that start in the early and it's like, then it's like figuring out?
I'd say it lingers, but it very much becomes about, it's almost like a quasi like love triangle, because Declan and Felix start to talk and realize there's sort of a connection there. And Declan's like, I'd like to meet you. And Felix is like, oh, great, because this is my fake persona. And then on this other hand, Felix is, a lot of it is very much just love focused. And so then there's, like loving yourself, deciding who to care about what they say, and then finding that love out and like falling in love with, can I say it? I'm just gonna say it. It's Ezra, which is the best friend the whole time. I'm just gonna say it because
nice.
I feel like it's not a surprise, and anybody who starts the book, I was like, I don't know why these two aren't dating right now, but it was really because Felix, like, I really do think it's like a love yourself first story, or simultaneously like resolve this, and Ezra is just the best friend and so supportive the whole time, and they're like cuddly, good, best friends that obviously there's a spark of some sort because they spend so much time together and they like rely on each other, and then finally they can make the actual effort.
I love that.
Be together. So it was pretty adorable, and it was definitely more focused on that. I want to say it was really heavily more focused on relationship, if I had to pick one.
Okay, but I love that story.
Oh yeah, I do too.
I think people should read this after they read mine, or maybe the other way around. But
right, because it kind of is a read-alike for yours.
I kind of feel like it is, because it's like this idea of like coming into your own and just like being who you want to be, and then like the people around you celebrating that. Like, I found mine very celebratory in the end, which I thought was so great.
And it's almost like, I know that it's good to have external support of who you are, right? Obviously that's important, obviously.
Right.
But you also have to feel it on the inside, right? And I think everybody struggles with that at some point or another, and it's just really nice to see it through in a story, I think.
Yeah.
And get to see somebody find their worth. And it's funny because you'll like, even if you feel that about yourself and then you read somebody else, you're like, you're worth it, come on. You're like reading through and cheering for them, and just to have it, that hearing their internal monologue saying the opposite, I just think it's a really nice exercise in learning some self-love and self-appreciation.
We all need that. Everyone needs that.
Everybody does. That's why everybody should read it.
It sounds great. I'm gonna put it on my to read next pile.
Good. I love, there was this moment while I was reading it and I was like, oh, that's like Felix and I were the same all of a sudden, because it was, Felix said, what was it? When someone hurts me, I either obsess over how to convince them I'm worthy of their love or obsess over how to destroy them. I was just like, yes, this person, I understand.
Sure, you definitely have that destructive tendency.
But also there was like, every character is like that. Ezra had this thing where, I believe it was Ezra, I'm trying to remember because it's toward the beginning of the book. Ezra is saying like, I don't know if I like labels. Sometimes they just think you should be you. And I was like, I like that too. Although I think labels are very useful too and can be a good thing, but sometimes they're a bad thing because there's this whole thing about like perspective versus definition, right? You can define your label in one way and someone's perspective of it can be totally different than how you see it. And I think that's so complicated.
It is. And also, like, there are some labels that you're also like assigned that you don't really have a choice in, but you're sort of like stuck with it in a way. Right. So there's also that element too.
Well, right, exactly. So there's like those put on a person and then those a person chooses to identify themselves. But no matter what, you can't extract your perspective from someone else's perspective. Like you just can't control other people's perspectives of how they see a certain label.
Well, isn't that the truth?
Isn't that tough? I wish I could control it.
It's like, really hard.
Like this, and I want you to too, but no matter like, what, I might not be able to change that.
No, I think that's like a lifelong. Everyone has to work through sort of like their perceptions and preconceptions about how they feel about certain.
But some people don't think, Court.
And then the other thing is you also have to think about like your self-preservation in a way where you're like, I'm doing my thing. If you don't like it, like that's on you. Like that's more of a reflection of you than it is of me.
Right. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Hard.
Yes, exactly. Because in the end, you only have control over yourself. So
gosh.
It's tough. It's tough. But anyway, I just really enjoyed this. I dodged your question. I answered my own. I related to the people in the book.
I like that you related to them.
On multiple levels.
That's good.
And it was great. And the cover is gorgeous with this beautiful crown of flowers.
I wanted to talk about the cover. The cover is incredible.
It is. Although if you saw Liz earlier today wearing her Midsummer mask, then it would remind you a little of Midsummer, but it's nowhere near that.
Because of the flower crown?
The flower crown.
Oh my gosh, Liz. Oh, that's very funny. No, it's of such a beautiful, beautiful, eye-catching cover that you'll just want to pick it up. You won't even care.
And it's orange. And
yes, you'll be like, I need to buy that because I want it on my bookshelf. It's so pretty.
I know. So it's good inside and out.
That is wonderful to hear. Yay! I love that we both had books that we liked this week.
I know, me too. And next up is, I think we should choose some graphic novels.
Love it. Something.
Because we're going to be strapped for time. We know that. So let's just try to get through what we can. So I'll be reading Banned Book Club. It's by Kim Hyun-suk, Ko Hyun-ju, and Ryan Estrada. And that's okay if you've not chosen one, because I know you've been straight out.
I haven't, and I feel like every single week I haven't.
You did last week. I think you're all right. You're all right. Okay. We're doing what we can, Court. It's okay.
Are there any on your list that you feel like? Oh,
I'm trying to think. I did see like a couple of Svetlana. God, I can't even talk. Svetlana Chimkova graphic novels on my shelf, but I think they're older. But I'm not sure if I bought replacements, but we could look. They are more middle grade, but I just love her stuff, so you could always choose one of those. But there's others. I'll shoot you what's on the shelf.
I'm looking up at 2020 great graphic novels for teen from Yalsa, and they're all like old. Like Laura Dean keeps breaking up for me. Isn't that from last year?
I thought it was, but I think maybe they're saying like, I don't know when their list comes out, but I'll send you a little link of what we have, or you could, I don't know if Stratum has any new graphic novels.
I'll have to check it out. All right, well, I'll figure it out. Sorry, everyone.
That's all right. Listeners, don't forget to join the conversation by answering the questions at the beginning of the program. What are your libraries offering you? Are they doing a summer read program? Are you participating? Do you miss your library? Do you just want to leave your house? How exhausted are you on a scale from 1 to 10? You can answer those questions and more by emailing us at teensmetaltalk@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
As always. I need to scroll down. This podcast is brought to you by the Derry Public Library and Derry-CAM, Derry Community Access Media, empowering independent voices. Wherever you are listening, if you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate it and review it. We are going to go to bed.
Yes.
Our theme was created and performed by Banded Starling. Until next time.
Good night.
Good night.